March 5th, 2026. Today, your life officially has a price tag. The data famine has hit a breaking point, and the tech giants have finally admitted what many have suspected for years. The public web is a poisoned well. They don't need more of what we've written. They need to know how we feel. And this morning it became official. Regulatory filings confirmed Apple's Project Mnemonic has moved into beta. See, Apple isn't just in the hardware business anymore. They've started recruiting a global workforce of what they're calling sensory miners.
So why the huge shift? Well, it's because of a problem that honestly sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but it is very, very real. To put it simply, the internet is running out of us.
See, for years now, a crisis has been quietly brewing just beneath the surface of our digital lives, and it's threatening the very engine that powers all of artificial intelligence. You know, this all started with what a lot of people dismissed as a fringe conspiracy theory, the idea that most of what you see online, well, it isn't actually real. But the scary part is how pieces of this theory are becoming our day-to-day reality. The web is just being flooded with AI-generated content, and that creates a nasty feedback loop that pollutes the very data they need to train the next generation of AI. And look, this isn't some new thing that just popped up. If you look at the data, a 2023 report from Imperva found that almost half, 49.6% of all internet traffic was automated. And if you go back to 2016, it was even higher, over half. For years, bots have just been talking to other bots, creating this huge artificial echo chamber. And this is where the real problem kicks in. It creates this feedback loop, a death spiral, really, that researchers call model collapse. Imagine an AI trying to learn about the world, but it's only reading books written by other AIs. It's like a snake eating its own tail. It completely loses touch with reality, it forgets what makes human expression so diverse, and eventually it just devolves into gibberish. The well has been poisoned. So that leads us right to the next piece of the puzzle. It's not just that there's a lack of new data, it's a crisis of quality. AI has slammed into a wall, and that wall has a name: the wisdom gap. To give you a sense of the scale here, just think about this. GPT-3 was trained on 45 terabytes of text data. I mean, that's almost 1 trillion words. And today's models, they're way, way bigger. They've basically eaten everything we've ever bothered to write down and put online. And here's the crazy part. After all that, after consuming all that knowledge, they have massive, massive book smarts, but absolutely zero common sense. They're like brilliant statistical parrots. They can predict the next word in a sentence with incredible accuracy, but they don't actually understand what any of it means. They can't do what we do so easily, take an idea from one context and apply it to a totally new one. And don't just take my word for it. The researchers building these things are pretty blunt about it. They admit that these systems rely on shortcuts and pattern matching. So when you give them a truly new problem, one that needs real abstract thinking, that whole illusion of intelligence, it just shatters. So, okay, if the internet is a poisoned well, a dead end, where do the tech giants go from here? Well, they're turning inward. They're turning towards us. Their solution is to start harvesting the last truly authentic, pure data source left on the planet, our lived biological experience. And what's kind of wild is that the hardware to do this, it's not future tech. It's already here. It's in our living rooms. A device like the MetaQuest Pro isn't just a fun gaming console, it's a data harvesting machine. It's watching you, it's tracking your body, where your eyes are looking, the exact movement of every joint in your hands, and even the tiny twitches in your facial muscles. And this is how it all clicks together. They can take all these different data streams, your facial expression, your heart rate, the tone of your voice, and fuse them together. The AI can then build a shockingly accurate picture of what's going on inside your head, your internal emotional state. This is how they plan to train the next generation of so-called empathic AI. But it goes even deeper than that. This chart here shows something called galvanic skin response, or GSR. It's basically a fancy way of saying it measures how much you're sweating, these tiny, imperceptible changes on your skin. And why does that matter? Because it's a direct, objective signal of emotional arousal. You can't fake it. They're not just reading your face, they're reading your body's involuntary signals to know exactly how you feel moment by moment. And all of this stuff falls under this rapidly growing field called neurotechnology.
Look, these aren't just gadgets. These are devices specifically designed to interface directly with our nervous system, to read the very signals that create our thoughts, our feelings, our entire conscious experience.
So what you have is this brand new kind of data, raw biological human data, and it is quickly becoming the single most valuable commodity on Earth. And of course, that's creating an entirely new economy. So here's the real breakthrough. This is how they actually use this data. There's a cutting-edge technique called brain-informed process supervision, BIPS for short. And what it lets researchers do is train an AI not just on what we do, but on how our brain does it. They're literally aligning the AI's internal logic with our own neural activity. It's how they plan to finally inject that biological common sense that AI has been desperately missing.
And the end game here is not some big secret. Just listen to neuroscientist Gregoire Courtine. He flat out said the goal is to create a brain GPT. That's right, a foundation model trained not on the text of the internet, but on the raw data of human consciousness itself.
And you have to understand, this is a full-blown arms race. We're talking about the biggest companies in the world. You've got Apple with Project Mnemonic trying to capture sensory data. Meta is working on streaming the commands from our nerves to our muscles. And of course, Neuralink's long game is to offer brain data as a service. They're all in a race for direct access to our minds. Which brings us to the final and, let's be honest, the most important question of all. In this new marketplace, we're not the customer anymore. We're the product. We are the natural resource being mined. So, is your mind for sale? This whole situation is forcing us to confront a brand new frontier for human rights, neuroprivacy. We're talking about the fundamental right to keep your own brain data private. Because, what could possibly be more personal, more intimate than the data that literally makes up your own thoughts? The ethical questions this raises are just staggering. Who owns your thoughts once they're on a server? Who gets to access them? Could someone even alter them? And what about society? Are we about to create a new underclass, a digital peasantry forced to sell their most private moments just to get by? Our memories, the very essence of our identity, it's all at risk of becoming just another tradable asset. And look, this question right here, it gets right to the heart of the personal stakes. Let's make this really concrete for a second. Imagine you accept a payment. You sell the sensory and emotional data from your wedding day to train an AI. Have you just sold the exclusive rights to that memory? Does some corporation now literally own a piece of your past? Which leaves us with this final, unavoidable question. This isn't really about data or technology anymore. It's about what we value. It's about our own inner lives. In this new economy, where every feeling, every memory has a price tag, what's the one thing that can't be sold? And what's going to be left of us, of being human, once we've sold everything else?
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. It really helps the channel grow. See you in the next video.